welcome back. You are watching and listening to Breakfast with Stephen and Ellie, and I'm laughing now looking at us because Femi, outside in the newsroom there, said, you two look like it's like your wedding day or something. Like, you're in the three-piece suit, I'm in a white dress.
I don't.
But you're already
I'm already married.
man, so there's no danger of that. But it is making me chuckle now. I can't unsee it.
You do. You just need a...
Just need a veil or something. We put...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hold them.
And then if I put the veil on...
There you go. There.
We're basically there.
We are basically there, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Link you here. Oh, there we are. Da, 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 da.
Actually, it could work, except I'm old enough to be your father.
Yeah.
But anyway, apart from that. Anyway, let's have a look at the front pages, should we? Let's start with the Sunday Times. It's like the First World War. It describes Ukrainian soldiers fighting a wave of Russian soldiers from the trenches.
Yeah, really powerful piece, that. The Telegraph reports that refugees and the NHS are at the heart of a diverse coronation as the King aims to celebrate a modern Britain.
Prince Harry has dramatised his cockpit heroics, according to his former flight instructor. That's in the Mirror this morning.
And The Sun leads with Prince Andrew as he aims to overturn the multi-million-pound settlement with his sex accuser, Virginia Giuffre. OK,
let's go through those papers with broadcaster and podcast host Sean McDonald and writer and columnist Emma Wolfe. Morning to you both. Let's kick off with the Sunday Times, Emma, should we? An illegal immigration.
Yeah, so this is a real sense that Rishi Sunak's trying to get back on the front foot after a couple of not great events in his political life. First of all, that announcement about levelling up, which didn't go down well because the money is not going to the right places, according to lots of people. And then his seatbelt misdemeanour, his fixed penalty notice. Second fixed penalty notice. So he's announcing that he's going to crack down on illegal immigration, which, as we know, is a very popular thing to do. Theresa May tried it and was accused of creating a hostile environment. You remember those vans circling around the country and telling people that they were going to be sent home if they were illegal. So Rishi Sunak will be announcing things like banks will resume data sharing with the Home Office. There'll be more checks on the gig economy, people working in the gig economy and whether they're here legally. And also things like further immigration checks on accommodation, on the health service, and on the labour market.
It's got to be done, hasn't it? If we are going to crack down on it, which everyone agrees, even the Labour Party agrees needs to be done, then this is the way to do it.
This is the way to do it, yeah. And as I say, it is a popular move. And how else are we going to get control? But, you know, the hostile environment was not popular, and it was, you know, really seen as a way, certainly on the left, to attack Theresa May and her government.
Sean, what do you make of this?
I wouldn't like to see a return to any hostilities. I think, OK, you can have valid concerns about immigration and about... You can be stringent without being nasty. And I think it's just unbecoming in 2023 to kind of revert back to a sort of a real hostility. I just don't think it's necessary. As I say, you can be stringent, you can carry out the measures that are required, which are fair enough, which are completely understandable and acceptable, but you just don't need to do it with a nasty spike. That's what I stand.
But is it a nasty spike?
It is.
I think part of the issue with hostile environment is it was a coined phrase that it wasn't. I mean, I saw the vans with the messages on when this was happening. Well, I didn't think it was that bad.
It is horrendous, and government should be bureaucratic. They shouldn't be trying to, I don't know, show this type of, personality.
It's sort of engendering fear in people.
Yeah, exactly.
Those vans circling around, but surely the message has to be stringent in order to prevent people from coming over illegally.
Yeah, be stringent, but don't be nasty about it. And I think there has to be the separation of government and personality, to be honest. And I think it even comes back to politicians. I think politicians should be bureaucrats. They should be boring. They shouldn't be constantly trying to be celebrity or show their personality in a really extreme sense. And I think that also transfers to government departments as well. Do your job, be stringent. But, I mean, cut that nonsense, because it's horrible. And it makes the UK look like a really nasty place, of which it has been in certain aspects. And this is an example of it. You know, the vans were horrible. We were talking about it kind of off air. You know, it wasn't nice. You
It's not nice, but perhaps that's the message that needs to come across in order to deter immigration.
We don't want to deter immigration.
No, illegal immigration.
Illegal immigration.
Yeah, I mean, that in itself is a bit of a loaded term, I think, the whole illegal immigration. I think it's often misused and misrepresented.
Well, there are legal migrants and there are immigrants.
No, yeah, no, I know they do, but
we have our rules.
It's a loaded term with connotations, isn't it? But like I say, I think be stringent, you know, do your checks, do things the way you would like to do them, but just leave the nasty edge out of it. That's kind of where I stand.
OK, well, what do you make then of the Sunday, Mail on Sunday and J.K. Rowling? And what it says is being dragged into Starmer's trans war, which again, you got to be so careful with language because this sounds extremely dramatic, and I don't suppose it actually is.
Yes, the story is Rosie Duffield, MP for Canterbury. She spoke in the House of Commons about Scottish Government's legal reform around gender self-identification. A very complex and murky subject, as you say, and language is very difficult to navigate. I think a senior aide to Keir Starmer said she should stop hanging about with J.K. Rowling. I think basically in reference to her having extreme views. I think the main thing about this gender debate thing, these are real people, these are people's lives, and they're being used as political apparatus, I think, in political footballs. They're real people with feelings, and there are consequences, I think, in both sides, and I think there has to be some sort of, whether it's collaborative compromise, I don't know. I mean,
I wonder if it's being used as a political football. In a way, the fact it was all passed. I mean, I've got to say, and I know it's a controversial issue and people find it controversial. I've got a number of friends who are trans women, but I also know some people who are trans men, and they are just ordinary, everyday people like you or I, frankly. But even I have concerns about saying, well, 16. You know, you can choose at 16 without a medical diagnosis. I think it's legitimate. It's legitimate to question that. But the problem is, it all then turns into this great big. Some people jump on it as an anti-trans vehicle, which is not what we need to be talking about.
No, it's really not. I mean, for me, I'm very much in the periphery of this subject, and it's not to say that I don't care or I'm not concerned about the well-being of others, but it doesn't really enter my orbit. It's not something I'm thinking about. My main concern is the way that it has been used as this political football, and we're forgetting that it's real people at the heart of this, and it's not nice, and it does create bad feeling, and you don't want to see people victimised either. I would hope that there could be some sort of progression. I think the comments from Keir Starmer's aide doesn't do much to help, because then people become entrenched. You know, you criticise people and you start to hammer people, and what do? They double down, so there has to be, I don't know, maybe a bit more kindness. Is that too much to ask?
Do you know what? In the great scheme of things, kindness is incredibly vague and probably doesn't get us anywhere in some respects. But I think it should be an underlying factor to everything. Yeah,
well, I think we need an injection of it, because we're not getting anywhere. We're just getting further and further apart. Well, these two groups seem.
We're getting angry, and anger doesn't help anybody.
No.
Actually.
Emma, what do you make of this story? Because it comes off the back of the article yesterday from Rosie Duffield saying that Labour had a woman problem.
Yeah, Rosie Duffield's been really powerful over the last few weeks talking about this issue and how little support she's had from Labour on this. Do you know what I think? I feel as though if we spent 5-10% of the amount of time, the amount of airtime, politics that we have spent discussing the trans issue on other things that really matter to this country. Most people, I mean, even Sean admits it doesn't touch his life at all. Of course we need to approach this issue with humanity. These are individuals, these are very, very complex, you know, personality processes, transitions, of course that. But this is affecting 0.00001% of the population, if that. And we have spent so much political oxygen and airtime and debate and money on this, and I just think we need to get a grip on reality and what's actually affecting people right now.
Well, I would agree. I mean, we still need to work on helping people who are transitioning or who are going
This isn't 10% of the population. This isn't half the population.
No. But
tiny, minuscule minority.
But this isn't therefore about what the government's doing, is it? It's about what the media is doing and picking it all up. Yeah. And really, we should let these things happen, support people, and whilst we get on with the rest of our lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
Emma, let's take a look at the Mail again, shall we? Greedflation. This is brands hiking up their prices by as much as 73%.
Yeah.
Whilst they reap massive profits.
Huge profits, £50 billion worth of profits. So some of the biggest consumer brands, I don't know if I'm allowed to mention them because they are referenced in the Mail, but things like Heinz, Ariel, washing up liquid, Head & Shoulders, Nestle, Cheerios, Heinz cream of tomato soup, for example, you know, a basic staple.
That has gone up a lot.
73%. So, you know, this is really, they're being accused, these big brands are being accused of basically profiteering at the cost of very, very hard-pressed families. These are basics. These are shampoo, washing up liquid,
their prices
tomato
will have
soup.
gone up. Their costs will have gone up.
Absolutely, but not by 73%.
No.
And we keep being told that inflation is levelling out, coming down-ish. Prices are not falling. Prices are still going up.
Yeah.
And, you know, hard-pressed families are suffering. And this is trying to, you know, as I say, fill up their cupboards. This isn't, you know, we're told, you know, cook from fresh, cook from the basics, use the basics. You can really shop and eat cheaply. And when you go out and try and buy the basics, you find prices going up really to quite staggering degrees. You know, a can of tomato soup, 98 pence in January 2022 is now £1.70. Literally almost double.
Yeah.
How are you meant to feed your children?
Yeah. No, it's a very valid
And you
point.
can't defend it really when they're making £50 billion worth of profits. You know,
No.
it isn't as though they're struggling.
Yeah. Corporate and social responsibility
Absolutely.
is what these people are meant to be
Humanity,
applying.
kindness.
Yeah. Look, we're out of time, but we shall see you both a little bit later on. Thank you very much indeed.